Hi guys, how are you guys doing today? You're welcome to my YouTube channel. Happy Easter to you and your family. My name is Adeyemi Oluwoshagba, and I want to say a big thank you to you for being on the other side watching my videos. If this is your first time on this channel, kindly don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, like all my old videos. We can watch all my old videos, and of course go straight to the comment section and let me know what you think about my videos and my previous videos, and what you think I can improve on. I mean, that's why I'm here, to serve you better at every point in time. So I want to say a big thank you to you once again for being here. God bless you. Now let's dive right into the business of the day. Before I go further, I just want to say how excited and happy I am about, major investments that have been coming into Nollywood over the last 5 to 6 years. I want to say how happy I am because I feel like it has actually helped the industry grow. It has helped filmmakers make better films. It has helped filmmakers take risks that they've always wanted to take when it comes to making films in the industry. I mean, big shout out to all the big investment companies, all the big streaming platforms who've decided to, come into Nollywood and, invest in the film industry and invest in our filmmakers and believing in our filmmakers enough to actually invest in them and invest in their work. I want to say big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for investing in the industry. There's so much more to come from Nollywood because I feel like we haven't even tapped the surface of the potential that we have, to be honest. There's so many great stories to make, so many great films to make, so many great characters to explore, so many great lives to touch on, stories to touch on, in this industry, and the future is really bright. So today I'm going to be reviewing a film, made by a producer that I have a huge respect for, and also it is one of the major films that have come into the industry based through the investments that have been made by one of those big streaming platforms, Amazon Prime. And to be honest with you, I think JADE OSIBERU, who is the producer of this film and the director of this film, like I said in my previous videos, I mean, she's one of the major, if not the first major beneficiary of Amazon Prime's investment in Nollywood, and that is something that I'm really proud about because you couldn't have picked a better filmmaker, to be honest, because JADE OSIBERU is literally an epitome of excellence when it comes to filmmaking. I mean, she's the one filmmaker that I know who has combined craft, arts, and commercialization in films, and you will never, none of these three is missing. Craftsmanship is not missing, the art itself is not missing, and of course the business side of things, she always gets it right. I mean, take it back to the days of Isoken. Isoken is one of those films, that was made at the time that did so well in all spheres. One of those Nollywood films, when it came out, Isoken was one of those films that, did well in every sphere, in terms of commercial acceptability, in terms of craft, in terms of art, displaying African culture and African tradition in one film and expressing creativity and expressing craftsmanship and expressing technical know-how in one film. That is one film that really did that at the time it came out, and it did so well. And big shout out to JADE OSIBERU for being successful at making these kind of films. And once again, she got this one right. I mean, this is a film that I mean, after seeing it on Friday, which was the 7th of April when the film came out, I mean, a lot of people saw it the same day, because a lot of people have been anticipating the release of the film. And after seeing that film on Friday, I thought to myself, this is a film that would say, yes, based on hype, no bad. You get what I mean? This is the film that I would say, based on all the hype that surrounded. I mean, a lot of us have been anticipating this film since like the beginning of last year, if not 2 years ago, because this film was made, I think, right after COVID, or not far from after COVID was when this film was made at the time. And we saw snippets and we saw clips of snippets of BTS's that was released at the time, and we're like, oh, okay, this is something to look forward to. And when the trailer finally dropped, the anticipation even grew wilder, and people even had more expectations, and they literally just whet our appetites, and we're like, okay, okay, this is something we want to watch. I hope it lives up to the expectation. Even when I did a reaction video to the trailer, I kept saying I hope they didn't, pack all the action parts and all the action scenes of the film into one trailer for us to watch. But my God, they did not. They did not. I mean, the film had everything from the beginning till the end, and I'm going to talk about all the things that I liked, and maybe a few things that I didn't really like in the film. I'm going to talk about that later. But first of all, let's talk about the story of Gangs of Lagos. Now, the story just dwells on the political landscape of Lagos and Isaleko, particularly Isaleko, and we are seeing these things through the eyes of a young man called Oba, played by Toby Bakare, and of course the younger version played by this, I can't really pick out his name, this kid among, if you remember Ikorodu Boys, this young men who make trailers, who make caricature trailers of Hollywood films and caricature trailers of Nollywood films, who became successful making caricature trailers basically. And that is that young man, and I was really excited to see him. That means these young people have been allowed to come into film, because I mean they can't have that much talent and not be allowed to act in Nollywood, to be honest. And I was really excited to see. I mean, casting is something in this film that I was really proud of, but I'm going to talk about that later. Let's still continue talking about the story. So that is the story, seeing the political landscape of Isaleko, seeing the political trajectory of Isaleko and the people of Isaleko, the lifestyles of the people of Isaleko, and how they struggle with the political godfathers, the political thugs, and the political tools that are being used by our politicians, in Isaleko, and their lives and everything. So that is what the story is really about. And you see things, and literally we're seeing it from the eyes of this young man who is called Oba, and his friends Ifi, played by of course Chike, and Gift, played by Adesua Itomi, and that is it basically. And we have other actors that we're going to talk about later. And I mean, what I liked about the story is that it goes straight down into the underground of Isaleko, the political underground of Isaleko, the political thugs that are being used in the undergrounds of Isaleko, these henchmen that these politicians use to do all their dirty work, who are based in Isaleko. And you have different factions of these thugs, but they still have to come together to work under one body. And of course, when interests are not aligning, then you now start seeing people going in different directions, And I like the fact that he also touched on the neighborhoods, the relationship between families and families, how when people steal things, when you go to Isaleko to purchase stuff or to buy stuff or to do business, and someone steals your bag, all you need to do is find one of the Baba Sales and they'll look for the person that stole your stuff. Basically, that is it, because Isaleko is such a small place. It looks like a big place, but it's such a small place because it's a community of people who literally know each other very, very well. So when something happens, you know where it happened, you know who you can call, you know you can detect. If you're smart enough, when stuff happened to you and you want to find out why it happened to you, all you need to do is go to one of the leaders in that neighborhood or in that society or in that place, and they will dig out the person that did whatever happened to you, to be honest. That is it basically, and that is something that I really liked, the fact that they touched on. They were able to push the boundaries with the stories, and I like the twists and turns. I mean, something that blew my mind was the plot twist at the end, which I never saw coming, and how they revealed certain things. I mean, if you know about the Eyo Festival is one highly exalted festival, if I'm going to use that word. It's one of the biggest festivals in Isaleko. Or your festival is not one of the biggest festivals. It's actually the biggest festival in Isaleko. Eyo is like, when the day that they are doing the Eyo festival, you can't come outside. You have to stay indoors, because when these guys are out, with the white robe covered their faces, the white masquerades with white robes cover their faces, and they're fantastic. That beautiful hat that they usually wear, and their long stick that they usually wheeled around. I mean, I saw that in this film, and I'm like, oh, this is really nice. And how you can use your festival to disguise and execute someone, that is great thinking. That is creativity at its peak. And that is something that I know would have happened a couple of times in Isaleko, that they had to, dig out and, feature in this film. So many things, so many other things were quite predictable. How the villain was revealed was predictable to me, because I thought this guy cannot be this nice to these people. I saw that he was going to be the bad guy at the end of the day. But what I really, really loved was that I didn't even know how bad it was until certain things were revealed at the end of the film. And that really, really, blew my mind. And I was like, yes, now this is how you twist the plot. This is how you twist my head. This is how you blow my mind, And I really, really liked that about the story. Now we're going to talk about the cast. Of course, Adesua, Toby Bakare, Chike, who I thought was fantastic. I never knew that guy was such a good actor, but I mean, Chike was just fantastic. I'm going to talk about, of course, Chioma Apota, who had one of the best monologues in the film. I mean, she just blew my mind when I saw her, performing that monologue. It was quite nice to see. And of course, all the other actors in this film who were exceptional. The guy that played, of course, Ninolowo, who is Oba's adopted father, I think he was literally, I won't say he was my favorite actor in the film, but he was just a pleasant person to watch in the film. His role was, he was such a lovable, accepted person in the film. His character, and he had the persona to carry it, big shout out to JADE OSIBERU for casting Tayo Afolari for that role. I think he was just fantastic. He had the aura, he had the look of fine man, always looking good, had a great personality, accepted by all, and he loved by all. I just thought he was a lovable character that I didn't want to die, and it was predictable how he died, because it was just too good to be true. He was just too good to stay in the film from the beginning to the end. It was like this perfect person in the film, kind, lovable. So him dying, as much as it hurt me, it was justifiable, because there's no way you can be that good and still stay so long in life, to be honest, especially in neighborhoods like that, especially for the things that you stand for in neighborhoods like that. There's no way. You're gonna have rivals, you're gonna have people who don't like you, you're gonna have people who are wondering why you are so kind and why you're so good. You shouldn't be around, because you're going to be spoiling their business. So they had to take him out. What I didn't like is not revealing how he was captured and killed. Even if you don't reveal how he was killed, at least show us how he was captured, so we can see the look on his face. Even if we don't see his captors, let us see how they disguised to capture him, and let us feel. But I like how his death was revealed. I like how they revealed him. That got me really, really emotional, to be honest. It got me really emotional, because I thought, I predicted that he was gonna die, but I didn't think he was gonna hit me like that, But I like that about the story. That is why it is a story. That is why it is a great story. And I like the fact, I liked what happened after he died. I liked how things now started panning out and started, changing. You have to watch this film to find out all these things. But I think it was just a fantastic story, to be honest. Fantastic story. Oh, I'm going to have to talk about Zlatan Ibile's role in this film. I thought all Zlatan needed to be was himself, to be honest. All he needed to be was himself. He didn't need to try to be anybody else. The way he was casted, he was just had to be himself. And that got me really, really excited, because I thought, wow, this is it. This is how you cast an actor. He was just perfect. And Zlatan is not your conventional actor. He is not a professional actor, to be honest. But if you get him to be himself in a film, you're going to get the best out of him. And that was exactly what they did. They allowed him to be himself in this film, and he was just perfect. And it was so good to watch. Another person that I would like to talk about is the guy that played Terrible. The guy called himself Terrible. That guy, if you know Evangelist Oba and his colleague in the skit industry, then you'll remember this guy. This guy was fantastic. That one, all he needed to be was himself, to be honest. That guy, all he needed to be was himself. And I was really, really happy to see him perform the way he did. And the way, there was a scene that had him and Adesua in it. And the contrast, pairing Adesua and that guy in a scene, in a film, that is creativity at the highest level. That is one fantastic thinking, to be honest. Because putting that guy in one car with Adesuwa and Tomi and having them banter and argue and insult each other, that is one for the books, to be honest. And that girl that played Ife's baby mama in the film, that girl that played Chiki's baby mama in the film, I thought she was exceptional. I thought she was a revelation in the film, to be honest. You know, she didn't have much screen time, but the one scene that she had and she needed to perform with, she did exceptionally well. And I was like, yeah, who? I had to post it on my Insta story to ask who she was, because I just thought she was really, really great to watch. She was a great actor in the film. A big shout out to JADE OSIBERU for the casting of this film. I mean, talk about the guy who played Kazim, you know, the eventual adopted father of the three kids, who was the bad guy of the film. Man, what a performance he gave, you know, what a performance he gave. I mean, the action scenes, fantastic. I mean, it was the highlight of this film, to be honest, all the action scenes, because they were well executed, except for the last scene though, except for the last fight scene. But all the other action scenes from the beginning, all the fight sequences, it was done to perfection. I mean, Adesuwa blew my mind. Adesuwa blew my mind, to be honest. The way she carried herself, and to say that she was breastfeeding. She was a nursing mother and she was still breastfeeding while this film was being shot is something that I am proud of. I mean, I to an extent know Adesuwa personally and I know how good she was, but performing that way while breastfeeding, performing that way while nursing your newborn, I'm gonna say that is one for the books. Big shout out to Adesuwa. I mean, that was your performance in this film, how, especially for the fight sequences and all the action scenes, the way she carried herself, the way she pulled those fight scenes off, and some of the things that they made her do, it was well done. The choreography of the fight scene, fantastic. Of course, some things were a bit, but I'm still gonna rate it like 80 or 85% because it was just good to watch the fight. And big shout out to Toby Bakare. I mean, like I said in my previous video, I had my doubts, to be honest, and it's because I still feel like Toby Bakare needed to give more. He needed to give more in his films, and I've seen his improvement over time, and that is something I would appreciate about him. He has actually improved over a period of time. I feel like in this film he did really well. I still had small issues with his performance, but I'm still gonna give him like a 75 to 80% because Toby Bakare carried the film. He embodied the film, his personality in the film, and even outside. And when I mean outside the film, in terms of the commercialization of the film, in terms of selling the film, he carried the film well. He was able to use his personality to sell the film and sell himself and carry the story from the beginning till the end. He was a character that was easy to follow for the audience. He was a character that everyone was following because of how he carried himself, in the film. And that is something I would appreciate so much. From a technical perspective, I thought it was well executed. Action scenes, the fight scenes, the cinematography, the lighting, the production design, the costume design, everything was exceptional. The production value, you can tell that money went into producing this film. A lot of finances went into producing this film, and it was not just spent anyhow. You can see what they spent their money on. And for the first ever Amazon Prime original film in Nigeria, not bad at all, to be honest. Not bad at all. Not a bad film at all. It is one if you haven't seen it, I think you should go and watch it right now. Find every means possible to watch this film. It is one for the books. It is one for the history books in Nollywood. Gangs of Lagos, quite impressive, to be honest. Are there things that I didn't like about the film? Yeah, a few things, particularly the last fight at the end of the film between Oba and Kazim. That fight scene, it not really convinced me, but it was good. It wasn't bad. I mean, it didn't convince me as much as I would have loved it to, but it wasn't bad, you know. Overall, it didn't mess up the film. It did not ruin the story. It did not, and it was a climax. It was a climax scene anyway. So the fight was necessary. It wasn't one of those unnecessary fight scenes that people are just beating themselves for some reason in some films that we have seen. And you know, I complained about some people are saying that they liked it, but in my opinion, it was trash. But in this one, the fight was justifiable, even though it wasn't as convincing as I would have loved it to be. It was justifiable. The fight needed to happen, and it happened. I'm going to rate this film over 10. I'm going to give it an 8.5. Yes, I'm going to give it an 8.5 over 10 because it was that good. It was that good. It lived up to its hype. It lived up to the expectations that we had. It lived up to my expectations. I mean, I was anticipating the film. I have been anticipating the film. Big shout out to JADE OSIBERU. Big shout out to all the producers and all the crew members of this film and all the cast of this film. I want to say, I mean, I wish I could touch on so many other things that I liked about the film. So big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much. If you've never subscribed to this channel before, please kindly subscribe to this channel. Like this video, go straight to the comment section and let me know what you think about this particular video and my other videos, and what you think about the film as well. Let us banter. Let us talk about it. If you weren't too impressed about the film, please, let's talk about it in the comment section. Thank you so much once again. See you guys next time.